Hello and welcome to another Genestealer Cult video. Thank you, before we get to today's video, I'd like to say a big thank you to Stephen Dutton for sending us some awesome pictures of his Orc Feral army. I know these guys aren't Genestealer Cult, but they are filthy Xenos. So they can be thrown in the same, they're all Xenos to me. Yeah, just trying to convince the commissar, don't worry, the Emperor's still got 3 arms, 4 arms, I know that. Thank you, Steve, for sending these pictures in. They are absolutely fantastic. I love a good feral orc army. In fact, when I was getting into my orcs, still I'm getting into them, I thought about going down the feral orc route, but in the end I just decided to do... My Mordians already take a lot of converting. I thought I'd keep my regular orcs just nice and regular. Is there such a thing as a regular orc? Who knows? Standard orc? I don't think so. But anyway, thank you for sending these pictures in. Absolutely love the Captain Caveman banner. Love all the conversions. I think they look really, really cool. So thank you for sharing. If anyone else has got any pictures that they want me to use in my videos, then please post them on my Facebook page or email them to me like Stephen did. There will be a link and email address down in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today, guys, I want to do a quick tip tactica for my old Genestealer Cult brethren, for my, fellow followers of the belief that the Emperor has more than 2 arms, 3 or 4. That's where the real argument is. It's probably 4 though. More arms the better. Just a quick tip tactica for you guys. I just wanted to highlight the sort of resurgence of a sort of favoured Genestealer Cult tactic from the old 8th edition. And that is the Achilles Ridge Runner spam. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Achilles Ridge Runner, it is essentially a buggy. It's kind of like an alternative to a Sentinel. So it's about as durable as a Sentinel overall, but it's a bit faster. So to give you an idea of the stats, we'll just pull those up now. So it's got a 14-inch move, which is, respectable. Weapon skill 6+, so it's not as good in combat as Sentinel, but then again, Sentinels aren't really good in combat either. Ballistic skill 4+, strength 5, it's only toughness 5, and there's no way of making it toughness 6, so it's not as tough as an armoured Sentinel, but it's as tough as a scout Sentinel. It's got 8 wounds, which is 2 more than a Sentinel. It's got 3 attacks, which is 2 more than a Sentinel. It's about as good, actually. And it has leadership 7 and a 4+ save. Now, there's a number of options out there that you can run your Achilles Ridge Runner with. You can give it a spotter, or you can give it a flare launcher or a surveyor. There's these different things. Long story short, guys, you're pretty much every single time going to want to pick the flare launcher, because it gives you a 6+ feel no pain, which is really good. Because what I like when I'm running my cult vehicle spam list, 4 trucks and plenty of Achilles Ridge Runners, the whole army's got a 6+ feel no pain. Let me tell you, it's very noticeable when you're doing it on a lot of vehicle models, because every single wound every single bit of damage you stop is good. So, and then in terms of weapon loadouts, again, you can pick the heavy mortar or the missile launcher, but the one you're going to want to pick nearly every single time, this is true in 8th, it's true in 9th, is the heavy mining laser. Okay, it's just a fantastic weapon system. So what you're looking at is a vehicle that has 8 wounds, 4+ save, 6+ feel no pain. It comes with a heavy mining laser, which is range 36, heavy D3, strength 9, 8.3 D6 damage. So it's got good punch. And what do we need in today's high wound, high durability meta? We need high strength, we need high AP, and by God, with all the ignored damage out there, we need a good damage roll. Flat damage 2 ain't cutting it for us anymore. Right? Ain't doing it. And that is what it brings. We need volume of fire, or we need punch. Well, you know what? We've got punch, but also we've got volume of fire, because this bad boy comes with 2 heavy stubbers. So that's 6 shots on top of your lining laser, your mining laser. Okay, so lining laser. It's a lining laser. Also, a few key things to note. It's only got 8 wounds, and it doesn't degrade. So if it's on 8 wounds or it's on 1 wound, it's hitting. It's hitting hard. Okay, first thing to mention. Second thing dimension is that you take it in. You can take it in squadrons in a unit, a bit like Sentinels. But like Sentinels and unlike other squadron vehicles, they don't need to stay together. They stay as a unit. Now that is a double-edged sword because it does mean that wounds can potentially spill over, but you've got that 6 of feel no pain to negate that. But most importantly, it allows you to get some rather tasty stratagem efficiency. Okay, and you don't have to spam Achilles Ridge Runners. You don't have to turn up with 9 of them. Okay, but you should be turning up with 3. It's a nice. Genestealer Cult armies are no longer this one-hit wonder thing. They're a combined arms force, and you know what? You've got to have combined arms, and you've got to see a little bit of everything. Variety is the spice of life, and Achilles Ridge Runners, they're a nice bit of spice. Now maybe a bit of paprika, a bit of spice in there. So, what kind of spice are we talking? Okay, well, you want to fly over to the Greater Good. Now, the good thing about the Greater Good for Genestealer Cult is it's unlikely. Well, this is the good thing about the Greater Good in general is that all the factions in there are quite unloved by Games Workshop, which means we're probably all going to get to use it for quite a while. Unlike the Marines who can't use their Psychic Awakening books anymore. And what you want to look at with the Genestealer Cult is you want to go to page 77. A couple of pages of stratagems there. And there's 2 that you want to look at. One is called Raking Fire. Okay. Now, Raking Fire. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. Select one Achilles Ridge Runner unit from your army, so you can select all 3 if they're in a unit. Until the end of the turn, when resolving an attack made with a heavy stubber by a model in that unit, add 1 to hit and to wound rolls. Boom! Absolute boom. That is so good for 1 CP. Because you could potentially have 6 heavy stubbers. That's 18 heavy stubber shots. These weapons are practically free when they're not even taken into account on the models points. And now they've got +1 to hit, +1 to wound. So now you're hitting on 3s. You're shooting at some guardsmen, you're wounding them on 2s. Any light infantry, the preferred weapon or the preferred target of the heavy stubber, you're wounding it on 2s. Marines, you're wounding on 3s. The new hotness, Death Guard, wounding on 4s. Not so tough now. Those new Raven Wing bikers who think they're all that. I keep calling them Raven Guard bikers, but Raven Wing bikers, wounding them on 4s. Death Guard on 4s. Can't go wrong with that. Cannot go wrong with that. What does that let you do? It letting you get past the main things of those armies, which is toughness. Bikes are tough. Obviously they're speedy as well, but bikes are tough. And Death Guard are tough. Well, they're not so tough when you've got +1 to wound against them. And you've got, 18 shots a turn. That's pretty nice. But we're not done yet. On top of that, you can use Overcharged Weaponry, another 1 CP stratagem. So this is only 2 CP a turn to do this. And bear in mind, you don't need to shoot the stubbers at the same target as the mining lasers. But you could do, if you've got +1 to wound, most vehicles that you'll be shooting at, you'll be wounding on 4s, because you're strength 4. Unless you're shooting at like a knight or something, you're wounding on 5, so +1 becomes 4s. So you've also got Overcharged Weaponry. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when a cult unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made with a Clearance Incinerator, Heavy Mining Laser, or Heavy Seismic Cannon by a model in that unit, add 1 to wound rolls. Holy moly! That's nice! 1 CP to get +1 to wound with the big old lasers. Now, if you've got a squadron of 3 of these guys, you're putting out an average of 6 shots. Now, some of you might be saying, yeah, but there's only +1 to wound, it's not +1 to hit. And I'd be like, that's a fair point. But why would you be running Achilles Ridge Runners if you're not taking a Jackal Alphas, which is the biker sniper lady on bike? Biker sniper on bike. She can... You pick an enemy unit within 36 inches of her that she can see, and every unit that targets them, that enemy unit that's within 6 inches of her, gets +1 to hit. Basically, guys, she can get +1 to hit against enemy units. Now, that might mean, am I wasting the +1 to hit from Raking Fire? Yeah, maybe, but you don't really care about the +1 to hit from Raking Fire. The good thing is the +1 to wound. That's really what you're looking at here. Okay, it's like Veterans of the Long War for your mining lasers, and Veterans of the Long War for your heavy stubbers. That's pretty nice. So you got +1 to hit, so you hit on 3s, and you start slamming those mining lasers into those Death Guard, and you're like, all those bikers, And you're like, holy crap, I'm winning them on 2s. I'm hitting on 3s, winning on 2s. Now, I don't mean to get crazy, but let's get crazy. You could go down the route of Hive Cult. Hive Cult are my preferred cult. They're full of the ones that I built my Genestealer cult army around. And that cult creed, basically, it's got a few bits and bobs in it that you're not too worried about. But one of the big things is that it has a warlord trait. Okay. And that warlord trait is very tasty. It's called Hive Lord. So if you're in the Hive Cult, you're a Hive Lord. Hive, 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 hive. Lots of hives. And long story short, guys, if you're within 6 inches of the Hive Cult Warlord, reroll 1s to hit for ranged weapons. So suddenly, you're hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Now, it's a little bit of a shame that +1 to hit modifiers don't stack like they used to, because it used to be that relatively easily you could hit on 2s rerolling 1s, but now you're pretty much guaranteed. You know, Genestealer Cult have got a lot. Hive Cult and Genestealer Cult have a lot of ways of getting +1 to hit. And obviously that's a little obsolete now, but it means, you know, any kind of terrain you don't really care about. You know, Hive Cult have got chilling efficiency, which allows you to get another +1 to hit. You know, there's loads. They've got loads of stuff. So basically, you're hitting on that 3s, you're re-rolling them 1s, and if you're shooting those mining lasers at anything in the game, you're wounding them on a 2. Unless that unit is toughness 9s abound, there really aren't many toughness 9 things out there anymore. Games Workshop is really curbing the whole anything with toughness 8 malarkey. So that's really nice. And then you're like, oh, now really crazy. Maybe too crazy to contemplate. Maybe science, you know, maybe I'm taking it too far. Maybe science is going too far. Who knows? I don't know. But you could look at a Primus. You could look at a Primus for your Hive Cult Ridge Runners. And you might be like, why would I take a Primus? He boosts my combat units. Well, he does, but he also lets you, for a turn, get reroll 1s against an enemy unit. So that's pretty good. Meticulous Planner. First time this model is set up on the battlefield, select one enemy unit on the battlefield. Reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly cult units that have the cult ambush ability whilst they're within 6 inches of this model when targeting that enemy unit. So you could. Obviously it's only once per time. I guess, you know, it's only the time he drops in. But you could, if you're like, well, I'm a Hive Cult guy and I wanted to take, you know, the Broodcomb and things, so I've got a Primus, I don't really know what to do with him. You could be like, well, I'll drop in, and against that one enemy unit that really needs to die, that big unit of Black Knights, that big unit of Black Lord Terminators, I'll give reroll 1s to wound against them for everyone within 6 inches. So we've looked at stacking loads of buffs on one squad of Ridge Runners, but if you took 2 squads or 3 squads, it is totally possible to spread the love, spread the buffs, and to really, you know, you could give, you know, Raking Fire to 1, you could give Overcharged Weapons to another, you can have a Jackal Alpha boosting 1, you could have Chilling Efficiency boosting another. The reason why it's important to know that you can spread these buffs is it means you don't have to blob everyone together, which makes you a little limited. If you want to spread out and spread it's still effective, is what I'm trying to say. Honourable mention, you may not want to go Hive Cult. Okay, you may not want to go. I think Hive Cult's better because rerolling 1s all the time from the Warlord trait is better than going Bladed Cog. Bladed Cog is generally a very, very strong trait and probably overall the better one. Just from in a combined arms force, Bladed Cog's the better one. But their Warlord trait that they have is like old grudges for the Imperial Guard. You pick an enemy unit at the beginning of the game, and everyone that shoots at it that's within 6 inches of your Warlord gets to reroll wounds. So if you are facing an enemy which has absolutely positively put everything into a massive death blob unit, or something like Mortarium, Bladed Cog is probably the better way to go. Otherwise, if you don't know you're going to be facing that, and you want to go down the Achilles Ridge Runner absolute spam death, then I think Hive Cult's the way to do it. I think Hive Cult and Bladed Cog are pretty equal. I think Hive Cult might be better if you're going for a more mechanized force in many ways. It's a bit tricky. It's tricky. They're pretty equal. They're pretty good. I'd probably say that Bladed Cog's better overall, but Hive Cult is really good. If you were to, you know, why pick one when you can have both? I would personally take a detachment of 9 Ridge Runners or something crazy with led by a Jackal Alphas, and make that my Hive Cult detachment, and then just go fuck loads of infantry and trucks and whatnot, and make them bladed cog and have 2 different detachments. I don't know. That's just me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.